You're still watching New Day here on TV3, and it's now time for the chamber. This morning, we're focusing on the Engineering Council bill, which when passed will seek to educate the public and create the awareness on the need to consult on the right processes during building constructions. Now, this is in light of the recent collapse of another building right here in Accra, killing one and injuring 7 others. The chamber takes a look at the Engineering Council bill this morning and what its passage would mean to the building industry.
The construction work reportedly commenced a few months ago. Reports said the one-story building project is meant for a restaurant near the Archive House, Cantonment, Accra. The workers say they were in the process of casting the first floor concrete when the section gave in. 10 workers reportedly went down with the collapsed structure. Emergency and rescue workers, including the police, fire service, military, NADMU and ambulance service all responded to the distress call. From the time of the accident till 12 noon Sunday, 10 people, including 2 bystanders, were rescued and rushed to the police and 37 military hospitals. The last construction worker was pulled out dead under the debris with the aid of private construction firms, which made their services and equipment available.
And then we must also look at the health and safety law of this country, because if the health and safety law is there and it is being enforced, at any stage that a construction of this kind is going on, the safety engineer will be at the site and make sure that the best practice procedures are put in place so we don't have such disasters.
The police confirmed the casualty.
We made a follow-up to those who were sent to hospital, 37. All of them have been discharged now. At the police hospital, we are now left with 3 on admission, but we are told they are in a stable condition.
The project was said to have begun without approval from the Lada Kotopon Municipal Assembly.
And the rule is that whenever you are going to do any work, you have to inform the assembly. This time around, when they were going to cast this concrete, they didn't inform the assembly. But when the engineers came and they look at it, preliminary assessments showed that it was the temporary support that gave way.
The police and fire service have meanwhile commenced investigations to unravel the cause of the disaster.
Right, Magnus Kwashi is on the line with us this morning, and he will tell us all about the Engineering Council bill. Good morning, Mr. Kwashi.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Magnus Kwashi is an engineer, and he joins us on the phone lines this morning to explain to us all about the Engineering Council bill, which will shed some more light. Good morning, Mr. Kwashi.
Good morning.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us on New Day.
Thank you.
Right.
And good morning to your viewers.
Right. Can you please tell us what the bill seeks to correct exactly?
I barely can hear you.
I'm asking you about the Engineering Council bill and what exactly it seeks to correct.
You are asking, you want some information on the Engineering Council Act, right?
Okay, we seem to be having some difficulties with the phone lines, but we'll be sure to get Mr. Kwashi on the line. Good morning, Mr. Kwashi, are you there?
Good morning, I'm here.
Right, so I was just asking you about the Engineering Council bill and what exactly it seeks to correct.
Now, it's no longer a bill. It's been passed into law, so it's actually an Engineering Council Act.
Okay, when did the act come into force, sir?
The act was passed in 2011. Okay. Now, in the act, maybe a few highlights. The act is supposed to have a board, which is yet to be inaugurated by His Excellency the President. And the key among the things, you see, particularly in all these issues, we one of the key parts of the resources in terms of building within the environment is the human capacity. You know, you can have good materials, you can have good design, but if you don't have the right capacity, it is a problem. So what the Act seeks to correct or actually contribute is to ensure that people are properly licensed to do what they are doing. And so if you look at Section 12 of the Act, it says that the board shall register annually engineering practitioners, engineering firms, and licensed bodies and educational units that are offering engineering as a course of construction. Okay. Now, it is important to look at this because you have all manner of persons parading and pretending to be engineers. And you know how serious it is, for example, if somebody pretends to be a medical doctor. It's equally the same.
Right.
You know, and the law fronts upon that. There is a prescribed training to undertake, and similarly, like any other profession, you need to have undergone your 4 years Bachelor of Science Engineering program, and then you need 3 years of mentorship or training in the medical field. They call it house job or houseman. You need to have been mentored and trained properly before you are given a stamp or a license to practice. But here we are. You do have anybody parading around, calling himself and doing all sorts of things. In Section 16, it says that the council shall have 4 registers: professional engineers register, engineering technologists, technicians, and then craftsmen. Now, which means that the Act seeks to register all craftsmen. For example, carpenters, masons, welders, helpers, all kinds of craftsmen. You see, the advantage here is that you can ensure that there's continuous competencies. Okay, you do continuous professional competency and development, so that the people in the built environment will stay abreast and state of the art in the sector. Now, for example, at the Ghana Institution of Engineers now, what we do is that every engineer is supposed to have 12 professional development hours of continuous professional development every year, to have your license renewed and so on and so forth. And this must apply to all the engineering practitioners in the built environment, so that you are sure that if you call a carpenter to do something, or you call a plumber, you are certain what this person does. Okay, unfortunately for us, this is not the situation, and so this is what the Council Act seeks to contribute as part of the regulation. If you were in the UK and you call a plumber, you don't need to think. You know for certain that he knows what to do. But here we are. You call anybody, turns up and shows that he's a plumber. He does leak. Places are leaking. They go and touch pipes and leave them, and so on.
Right. Now, Mr. Kwasi, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that some of the problems we've had with building collapses has to do with poor engineering practices. So is this bill or this law now going to properly regulate the practices of engineers? Is that what it seeks to do?
Yes, it seeks to regulate the practice of engineering practices. Not only so, when I talk about engineering practitioners, it means all who have something to do with a bearing in engineering. So it looks at professional engineers, it looks at technologists, it looks at technician engineers, and it looks at craftsmen.
Right. As far as the legal processes are concerned, what exactly can one do where certain ethics have been overlooked in such a case? Well,
if I heard you right, what will happen is that, you see, you need to be properly registered before you practice. The law fronts, if you hold yourself out as an engineer when you are not, or whichever of the categories, the law frowns on that, and there are certain penalties that people who work in false pretenses will attract.
Right. In an event like the building collapse we just witnessed a few days ago, what can the families of the affected victim do with regards to the law? Do they have any redress? Well,
in this case, I'm sure the law would look at who the practitioners are involved in this. For example, if there's a firm, the law will check whether it is properly registered by law, and if I say this, what I mean is that anybody can register a construction firm, but the law requires that you have the requisite technical people who you work with. You see, so the law will try to find out who are the technical people who are involved, because you need people who are trained to do certain tasks.
Right. Is there also the possibility of it just having been an accident, like we had the contractor say? Is it possible that all the practices were adhered to, everything was done correctly, and it was just an accident? Does it happen?
Well, certainly there are accidents. But I don't have the full details of this situation. But I believe that they may have to constitute, for example, what do you call it, a panel to look at what was the causes. If it's an accident, they will determine it. If it was something that was negligence, that will also be determined. Okay. But whichever way, I think that they need to constitute a panel to actually investigate what happened.
Right. Mr. Kwashi, where does the Municipal Assembly come in? Can they be sued?
Can they be
sued, the Municipal Assembly?
Can they be sued?
Yes, sir.
Well, you see, the Municipal Assembly is in charge of any jurisdiction or a certain boundary. And so the Municipal Assembly, actually by law, is the regulator that ensures that people have the requisite permits and they have been duly signed and so on.
Right, and we've been told that there was no permits for this particular building, and I'm sure the Assembly may have seen the structure coming up. So do they have can they be called upon to answer any questions at all?
Well, I mean, we need to find out from the Assembly, and sometimes these days there are so many challenges. Sometimes people have had to resort to doing their own thing, even when the Assembly has served them notices and so on. So I wouldn't be able to tell whether somebody sues them or not. But the issue is that we need to actually find out from the Assembly. They would know whether they knew the building was coming up, whether the person submitted, and so on and so forth. Now, but even if you see, and I want to share this to the general public, even if the Assembly didn't serve a notice, even the Assembly didn't serve a notice, it is important for us. I mean, if we all undertake to be law-abiding, it will help, so that we go through the necessary processes, you see, of whatever we do. The law requires that if one has to do anything, he must consult the Assembly, right, because you own the land. You have to do that. Right. Unfortunately, the Assembly today, I'm not holding brief for the Assembly. Mr.
Kwashi, I'm sorry, unfortunately I am out of time, but very quickly, finally, many feel that this law will become a white elephant, as many laws that we already have, due to the slow implementation. What are your views on this? Very quickly, please.
Well, yes and no. Yes and no, but I mean, for many of us practitioners, we want to see this work, you see, and we hope to see it work. I mean, unfortunately, sometimes on the government side, it's a bit of a problem. But as a people, I believe that we must want and desire to see things work for us.
Right. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Mr. Kwashi. Unfortunately, I am out of time. Magnus Kwashi is an engineer, and he joined us this morning on the chamber to shed more light on the Engineering Council Act. It's now a law. It's an act. Thank you so much for your time once again.